Welcome to Threshold, a place where we explore the sacred in the ordinary and the beauty in the in-between. I'm Molly Wilcox. I'm a wife, a mom, a writer, and your guide as we step over life's thresholds together. Whether you've been reading my newsletter for years or you're just discovering Threshold here, I'm so glad that you're listening. Together, we reflect on faith, creativity, and the small but meaningful ways we're being transformed in the everyday. Let's dive into this week's reflection. When my son was starting to finally have more consistent naps, I would plan out my day perfectly. During his first nap, I'd drink my coffee, read my Bible, journal, and pray. After spending my planned out time with God, I'd move on to checking my email and then work on writing and podcast to-dos. I confidently wrote out a list knowing all of this could get accomplished. After he fell asleep, I rushed to the kitchen to set up all the tools I needed for my devotional time. I peeked at the baby monitor and saw he was already awake. I was back upstairs with him rocking endlessly through naps with a fussy baby who just wanted the presence of his mom. In the dark corner of his room, while he watched me with eyes that said, "Please don't put me down," the part of me that was annoyed by the disruption to my day softened. Did I really have somewhere else I needed to be? The image in my mind of spiritual used to be a Bible in hand, worship music in the background, or praying out loud. But motherhood began to allow me to embrace a different reality. What if interruptions aren't distractions from a spiritual life, but part of it? Dietrich Bonhoeffer wrote, "We must be ready to allow ourselves to be interrupted by God." Some of my favorite passages in the Bible are of Jesus being interrupted, when the bleeding woman reaches out to touch his cloak or when the paralyzed man is lowered through the roof by his friends. Jesus didn't treat these moments as interruptions. He acted as if they were providential. He seemed to understand that these interruptions could be the most important part of his day, that if he made himself available to the people who crossed his path in seemingly disruptive ways, he might do the will of his Father in those moments. He might put God on display. Because our culture is so fast-paced and rooted in the hustle, I think we have effectively made ourselves less interruptible. It's hard to interrupt someone who is walking with purpose, has a packed full to-do list, and just doesn't seem available to us. But I've started to wonder, what if we lived our spiritual lives like the lives many mothers live? I expect to be interrupted as a mother. I know that no nap is ever guaranteed. And perfectly planned schedules have never been executed exactly as I imagined in motherhood. I want to put up a figurative do not disturb sign at moments in my day, but I often find a tiny toddler pulling on my pant leg needing something. And of course, I want to be available to his needs. Becoming interruptible is a form of surrender. When I get a random phone call from a friend during the day, I always answer. The cry of my heart has become, "Interrupt me." Because I've started to realize those interruptions are often simply things God has put on my agenda for the day and reveals to me in the moment as they happen. Interruptions have often led to sweet moments in my life. An unplanned time of connection with a friend, a run-in with a neighbor who needs encouragement and ends up encouraging me too, holding a napping baby and silently praying in the dark. There's unexpected joy, deeper connection, and more awareness of God found in these interruptions. I also view longer-term changes in what we thought life would look like as interruptions. We find ourselves in what feels like a disorienting and unfamiliar land and wonder, how did I ever end up here? Personally, I spent most of my 20s focused on building a writing business, thinking it would look a certain way. I'm almost 30, with a blooming flower garden, a yellow fixer-upper almost all fixed up, most of my time spent at home with my toddler boy, and I found new dreams bubble up and interrupt what I thought I was building. But what if this is what I was meant to be building all along? What if the new passions I have, ministry for moms, advocating for better care for women in pregnancy and beyond, building a gentle, resilient faith, were the ones God knew he was planting and growing in me all along? Interruptions are invitations. They're invitations from God to us to see ordinary moments as opportunities for ministry or to witness everyday miracles. Interruptions adjust the path we thought we knew was ours to the path we were always made for. Sometimes the interruption is God speaking. May we become people who are available to stop and listen. C.S. Lewis says, "Stop regarding all the unpleasant things as interruptions of one's own or real life. The truth is, of course, that what one calls the interruptions are precisely one's real life." Thanks for spending time with me today on Threshold. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with a friend, subscribe, or leave a review. It all helps so much. And if you're not already part of the community, you can join the conversation by subscribing to my weekly newsletter on Substack, thresholdbymolly.wilcox.substack.com. Until next time, let's keep finding beauty in the in-between.